Earlier this year, I started an agency that lost me $500 a month, and now I have weeks like this where 30K just kind of comes out of nowhere. For those of you who are new, this was me a year ago. A dumpster diving chef making an annual salary of $26,660. Fast forward a year, and now I run an agency that has weeks like the one I just mentioned. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say weeks like this and Apple Watch notifications like this are normal, because they simply are not. However, considering this is all monthly recurring revenue, it would kind of be foolish to think that this wouldn't happen again. With that, just a couple months ago, I was sitting here with nothing, losing $500 a month. So that begs the question, what changed? And this video probably isn't going to be what you expect. You were probably expecting some walkthroughs, some vlog, considering the clickbait title. No, this is going to be nothing like that. I'm simply going to talk to you about the one thing that changed to help me get to where I was to where I am now. Before that though, make sure to subscribe and drop a like if you enjoy this, because I'm going to be doing a lot of breakdowns, some walkthrough of client portfolios, and really just pulling back the curtains on the systems that really just help me make $1 or $2. So anyways, what is the thing that I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about leverage. Now, it sounds simple enough, right? But there's so many coaches and course creators that just go about this wrong or don't really understand how to use it at all. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people up until, well, a month or two ago. But then I really took some time to sit down and understand it. And that one simple thing has helped me go from working like 60 hours a week, making nothing, to working, well, probably half of that, making, well, a lot more. Let me explain. So as you probably know, there's 4 points of leverage, the 4 C's of leverage. If you've read Naval's stuff or read Dan Martell's stuff, there's capital, code, content, and collaboration. Now, what I did is I actually took these 4 points and saw how I could use them on different sections of my offers. Now, what did I install them onto? I run an info product agency, so I just hop into people who have info products and then help them scale. That's pretty much all I do. I realized hopping into info products and not understanding leverage was really holding me back, because I ended up just being a slave to so many people. Now, I'm not going to be going over code, because in terms of leveraging myself with code, well, I'm not the greatest. Obviously, there's automations, there's back-end BS, but I'm not going to be covering that because I'm not an expert at it. And that kind of goes for capital as well. I'll start to talk about that more as I reinvest more of the money to actually leverage myself with capital. Now, the two that I'm really going to be talking about today are collaboration and content. Now, really all that means is using content and using people. And if in case you don't know, I used to work in a restaurant. In terms of managing people, I might know a thing or two. So let's talk about collaboration first. It's pretty simple. Now, these coaches and consultants, first of all, were smart enough to bring on somebody like me. So they've already used that to leverage themselves. Now, how do I leverage myself? Well, I just kind of follow a simple step-by-step framework. Create a revenue-generating system, hire talent, and then train and delegate. That's pretty much it. That leaves me out of most of the day-to-day operations of actually executing the business, which lets me actually look at the business from a more zoomed out perspective, which once again leverages me more so that I can work on more revenue generating systems and then hire talent, train and delegate rather. I'm sure that you get the point there. Now, in terms of what that looks like, I'll talk about that a lot more. If that's something that you guys want to hear, I know that there's a lot of people who have kind of taken this growth operator role and are trying to scale info products that really just find it difficult. Managing people is difficult when this is your first business that you're running. So if you want to hear me talk about people a little more, well, subscribe. Now, the second point is content. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because a lot of people think that content just ends at making Instagram videos or making YouTube videos or posting on social media. That's not what making content is. When talking about content in the form of leverage, all it means is making marketing materials that target your ICP. But what if you were able to take the content that you're producing, produce 10 times more, have it reach 10 times the amount of people, and create systems around it to actually leverage yourself? A lot of times creators will just make a content team, maybe they have an editor, maybe they have a videographer, and that's just kind of where it ends. And yes, this does leverage your creator. Yes, that does allow them to make more content, but does that really maximize the leverage that you can get with content? In my opinion, no. When I think of leveraging content, obviously the common things come to mind: organic, paid ads, outbound systems, right? Things like that where it's just evergreen that you can bring in leads from so that you get more people that you can sell. The thing that a lot of people don't think about is how you can incorporate this with affiliates. Now, there's this kind of new business model coming up, clip curating. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can go check out Eddie Cumberbatch's page. He's going to be talking about that a lot. Him and I are actually working together on a project to work on a content distribution system. But what if you had a content distribution system? What if you actually were able to leverage your content even more? Meaning you are taking that those marketing materials that you are giving or that you are targeting your audience with, and you're just distributing it tenfold. If you have 100 Instagram accounts, 25 YouTube accounts, 50 TikTok accounts, like that is leverage. Now, for me, what I've been trying to focus on over the last little while are, like I said, revenue generating activities. And for me, once I have an offer validated, the only goal is to ram traffic down the pipeline. Now, the way that I kind of have my team structured is I have some executors, right? Whether that's growth operators, whether that's DM closers, sales reps, whatever it is. And kind of the system I follow is working backwards. So validating the product to make sure it works, validating the conversions, and then ramming traffic. So obviously the first step is getting some traffic so that you can vet those. But I actually limit that traffic to start so that we can plug as many holes of the pipe as possible and then flood the pipeline with as much traffic as possible. So this is where kind of the leverage comes in because, like I said, there's 4 main ways to get leads, as most of us know: organic, outbound, paid ads, and affiliates. So if I can leverage both collaboration and content in order to ram leads down the pipeline, then I'm going to do that. And that's actually what I did is I just tested it with small launches and I tested systems and I tested procedures on a small scale. Like 31K, yes, that's a lot of money to produce in a week, but that really is small. We didn't maximize anything. We were just testing stuff. That's all we were doing. The whole point of these launches with these clients were to just get data so that when we do our next launch, we can pump even more traffic down the pipeline. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you need to master all of this in order to get or to make money with info products, but yeah, the shit's kind of important. If you do want to scale and you want to be able to handle whether it's 5, 10, 15 clients, or if you want to be able to actually look at things from a higher level, you do need to understand leverage. It's most people's bottleneck. A lot of times people aren't able to zoom out and actually identify problems, or if they do, they oftentimes identify the wrong problems because they're so in the weeds and they're focusing on executing, when in reality you could just take a step back and actually be able to view things, like I said, from a zoomed out perspective and then focus on revenue generating systems. Now I'm going to talk about these systems a lot more, like how I go about hiring talent, how I go about my funnels, how I go about testing X, Y, and Z. If you can't tell, I've done this once or twice. Now I'm going to talk about all of these a lot more, and I'm going to be kind of just sharing my learnings as I go. But let me know what you guys want to see. I was thinking about doing some vlog content. Like I said, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to New York. I got some plans for the new year as well that I'll talk about later. But the biggest thing is just kind of scaling these products and scaling the company and then going from there, right? Making decisions on the fly, putting out fires as they come, coming up with ideas. It's basically my whole gig. So if you are interested in seeing more about what I do, what my day-to-day looks like, learning directly from the things that I do, it's 2 things that I want you to do. First thing is subscribe if you haven't. I've said it a couple of times, but hey, more CTAs equals, well, more conversions, right? At least in theory. And then the second thing is I'm launching a newsletter. So if you kind of want to learn how I scale info products, how I go about my funnels, how I go about learning things, hiring, all of the stuff that I'm talking about here, but in a more in-depth format, you can subscribe to that newsletter. It's free. I'm not selling anything. Really, all the newsletter is just for me to kind of share my journey and then work on my copywriting skills as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed, like I said, like and subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot more in-depth stuff based off of what you guys want to see. I look forward to documenting more. I look forward to sharing the journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.